Good evening, everyone. This is the kitchen cabinet, hence or thus the background. We are in the kitchen cabinet. Tonight, we will be discussing the future of Congressional District 18 here in Texas, as we also remember Congressman Sylvester Turner, who passed away unexpectedly on last Wednesday. So, do me a favor, go ahead and share this stream, this live stream. Go ahead and share this live stream with a few others. And let's get ready to really talk about um, what's next for the district, but also to give some honor and respect, pay our respects to our late Congressman Sylvester Turner, Congressman for the 18th Congressional District here in Texas, representing people throughout the Houston area. All right. All right. So please go ahead and share. I see a comment asking on YouTube, because this is streaming to multiple platforms. Was I about to give a look into my culinary skills? Not tonight. After this video ends, I will be preparing for bed to get that work week started. So no culinary skills tonight, but perhaps I will do a cooking live next week while I'm on spring break. But for this week, I'm still working, so no cooking highlights tonight. No showing off any culinary skills tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and text our guests to make sure that they are joining us tonight. All right. So again, this is tonight we are talking about Congressional District 18 of Texas. Go ahead and share this, and then I am going to begin to share this on TikTok as well. All right. So let's see. All right. So part of this will stream to TikTok. So again, tonight we're talking about Texas Congressional District 18. Texas Congressional District 18. Once again, we're talking about Texas Congressional District 18, which now has a vacant seat as the member of Congress for the 18th Congressional District, Sylvester Turner, passed away unexpectedly last week on the 5th of March. Congressional District 18 was led by Sylvester Turner since the start of this new year, when he suddenly passed away last Wednesday. So if you're just joining us, you're on TikTok and you're just joining us, go ahead and share this. Go ahead and like this. If for some reason you have to jump off of TikTok, you can always hop on over to our YouTube page, listed under Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube. To get there, you can just click the YouTube link on this page, and it will take you straight over to the YouTube streaming of this. So again, this evening we are talking about Congressional District 18 of Texas. And why does this matter? Say you don't live in Texas, or you live in Texas, but you're not in the Houston metro area. How does this impact you? It impacts everyone in the country, because this vacancy impacts Congress. And so we're going to look at just that tonight. It's not going to be my normal, or my more recent lives have been teaching, and we're going over various parts of the Constitution. Instead, we are primarily focusing on Congressional District 18, as well as the life and legacy of Sylvester Turner. There's a lot of conversation happening regarding what's next with his seat, what will happen to this vacated seat. Initially, I was going to wait to talk about this, but I kind of want to prepare people for what the possibilities are. And this is not to be in any way dismissive of those of us, myself included, that are grieving the loss, the giant loss that is this new void we have with the loss of Sylvester Turner. Understanding who he is, who he was to the Houston community, to the state of Texas, the history of Sylvester Turner, and all things that he represented. I call him Mayor Turner. I probably will always call him Mayor Turner, although he, up until Wednesday when he took his last breath, he was my congressman. But he is very much so Mayor Turner as well. He spent the last 8 years representing the city of Houston as our mayor, having been elected back in 2015. And then his term ended at the end of 2023. So at the end of 2023, we got a new mayor in Houston, but everyone still calls Mayor Turner, Mayor Turner, even after his election as congressman this past November 2024, when he ran for the vacated seat of the late Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. So let's talk about a little bit of the history. We have people from all over watching this stream. We have people on TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. So again, before I get into some of the history, let's make sure that we go ahead and we share, as well as like this post, share it with others, share it to your page, tag people with whatever you need to do. If you're streaming this from TikTok and for some reason you have to jump off TikTok, you can always jump on the YouTube. All right. So Mayor Turner became Congressman Sylvester Turner after about 11 months, or we can say a year after he left office as mayor. When he left office as mayor, he was going to sit back and do some consulting and helping others get elected. And then his longtime friend, colleague, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee passed after announcing that she had pancreatic cancer last year. She passed away July 19th of 2024. Mayor Turner then announced that he would run for her seat. And I'm calling it her seat out of respect, but also her seat because she had won the primary last March. So a year ago, she won the primary, and no one on God's green earth would expect anyone else besides her to be victorious in November unless she wasn't here to run herself. And so because she passed in July of last year, this past November, Sylvester Turner done what he needed to do to be on the ballot. So let's talk a little bit about what that looked like. That's not the situation that is pending for this vacancy, but just a little education. So because Congressman Jackson Lee, Sheila Jackson Lee, because the Congresswoman passed after her primary, but prior to the general election, that meant the precinct chairs. So you know how you have voting precincts. So the precinct chairs for her congressional district, so all of the precincts inside of the 18th congressional district should have precinct chairs. There are a lot of vacancies in the 18th congressional district. Nevertheless, the precinct chairs have the responsibility at such a time as what happened last year to caucus, come together, and to vote on who would take the place of her name on that general election ballot. And so when that was held last August, about a month after her death, when that was held last August, there was a runoff. Sylvester Turner and Amanda Edwards. Sylvester Turner won that election there at Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church when the precinct chairs voted. He won. So that meant that his name would go on that November ballot for Harris County voters who reside in the 18th Congressional District. Sylvester Turner went on to defeat the Republican challenger who had won their party's ticket last March during the primary. Okay. And so because he won the November general election at the start of this year for the 119th Congress, he was sworn in as the congressman. All right. So that's how we get here with Sylvester Turner. In between him becoming a congressman, taking the oath as a member of Congress this past January, there was also a special election. So I want to talk about special elections. So let me just make a bit of an adjustment here to my screen. For those of you who are streaming from Facebook or YouTube, I'm just trying to get my phone up here positioned. All right, so the special election. After the Congresswoman passed, or anytime there's a vacancy in a congressional seat in the state of Texas, the governor has certain powers. The governor can make certain decisions about what happens next. And so Governor Abbott, governor of Texas, Governor Greg Abbott, he announced a special election, but that special election was not an emergency election. So that special election, he set the date for that special election to be the same date or day of the general election. So from the time of her death in July until November of 2024, July 2024 to November 2024, that time period, those of us who reside in Congressional District 18, we were without representation in the United States House of Representatives. Of course, we still have our 2 U.S. senators, but we were without representation in the U.S. House of Representatives because he set that election, that special election, for November. It could have been sooner. He has the power, and so he set it for November. For that special election, the special election was open to anyone in the state of Texas was a resident who met the requirements for Congress. They were able to run during that special election. But what they were running for was the remainder of the Congresswoman's term. So members of the House of Representatives serve 2-year terms. So her term ended on December 31st of 2024. And had she been alive and won in November, her new term would have began in January. I'm stating all of this just to give some background, some education and understanding, because not everyone has knowledge of this. Not everyone knows what has happened or what could potentially happen. Okay, so during that special election, it was opened up to anyone who met the requirements to run for Congress who resided in Texas. And so her daughter, Erica Lee Carter, filed to run for that special election. And basically anyone who was running for that special election, they were running to complete the remainder of her term. So from the time they were elected and sworn in until December 31st at 11:59 p.m., that person of 2024, that person would have served in Congress. And her daughter did win. So her daughter served in Congress from just the latter part of last year, completing her mother's term, okay? Completing her mother's term for the 118th Congress. Currently, we are in the 119th Congress. We are currently in the 119th Congress. I'm going to make a slight, there we go, adjustment. So we're currently in the 119th Congress. All right. So Erica Lee Carter, she serves up until 11:59 p.m. on the 31st of December 2024. Sylvester Turner takes office in January 2025. And then he passed away last Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. Now, a lot of us, I'll just tell my story. I can't speak for anyone else. Hearing the news of Mayor Turner, our congressman, hearing the news that the U.S. representative for the 18th Congressional District of Texas had passed away, it hit doubly hard or triply hard because we just went through this with the loss of a congresswoman last July. But Sylvester Turner was so much more than just our congressman. He was also our forever mayor for many of us. He had been a leader in the Texas House during his tenure as a state representative. I mean, like a big time leader, doing some amazing work during his tenure in the House of Representatives. Sylvester Turner started off his career after finishing law school. He started off his career in private practice as an attorney. He attended Klein High School here in Texas, here in the Houston metro area. I'm going to say it's in Spring, Texas. Don't get me wrong, but nevertheless, he was very brilliant. He attended University of Houston, where he majored in political science. Then he went on to law school, and he came home and became an attorney. Later, he would run for office and be elected in the late 80s. He was elected to the House of Representatives. And then after retiring from the House of Representatives, he later ran for mayor and successfully won that election, like I mentioned earlier, in 2015, where he served up until the end of 2023 after completing 2 successful terms as mayor. Yes, the city of Houston, like all cities, have had struggles under various leaders. Mayor Turner's tenure was not without criticism and a lot of side eyes. I mean, that's the nature of politics. But at the end of the day, he was a very well-respected statesman. And I want to emphasize statesman, as well as an always available and there leader. If you've ever had a community event in the city of Houston, where it's about the community members, whether you invited the mayor's office or not, it would not be a surprise to see Mayor Turner's SUV pull up with his security detail and Jeff to just thank you for the work that you were doing. That's the kind of mayor he was. It was not it's never a shock to have him greet you or congratulate you for the things that you've accomplished or what you are doing in the community. Mayor Turner was a people's champ. I know we say that about Paul Wall, but Mayor Turner was really the people's champ here in Houston. Again, he was respected, very well respected. Of course, he had haters. We all have it. Anytime you're doing something halfway good, you're going to have haters. Even when you just have the audacity to think of doing something, you're going to have haters. So he, of course, had plenty of those. Even in death, he has those. So don't read the comment section on news articles if you don't want to see the haters. Nevertheless, Mayor Turner, he loved the city of Houston. He loved his community. He resided until his death. He resided in the same community in which he was born in, and that is Acres Home, which is in North Houston. Acres Home, the faux is where Mayor Turner was born and raised, and where he resided until his death. And so he was very much so a Houstonian. He didn't get money and get gone. He understood the value of keeping your resources in your community, reinvesting in the communities in which we come from. And so I could appreciate that about Mayor Turner as well. So with the loss of him last week, without belaboring this video, with the loss of Mayor Turner last week, many are struggling with what's next. Many understand the political climate that we're under, and I'm going to talk about that a bit. But many also are just heartbroken He touched a lot of people. So you can expect long lines this week. I'm going to run some information here on the YouTube. So Mayor Turner will lie in state in twice this week. On Tuesday, March 11th, he will lie in state at the Houston City Hall from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then on Thursday, from noon Thursday till noon on Friday, he will lie in state at the rotunda at the Texas State Capitol Rotunda. So in the rotunda at the Texas Capitol, he will lie in state from noon on Thursday till noon on Friday. So if you're in the Austin area or you're traveling to Austin, that's where you will be able to pay your respects in Austin, because he spent so much of his life and his career in Austin. So he will lie in state there. And of course, he will lie in state here in Houston. On Saturday, the final celebration of life for Mayor Turner will take place at his church home, the Church Without Walls, where Dr. Ralph West is the senior pastor. That homecoming or funeral is expected to be packed wall to wall. And so it will be live streamed as well. So you can live stream that on Saturday. And I'm sure many of our local networks will air that entire, those services on Saturday will be aired locally. So if you're not in the Houston area and you want to pay your respects to Mayor Turner or Congressman Turner, because he's congressman, but in our hearts, for many of us, we just know him and love him as Mayor Turner. Those services will be Saturday. His funeral services, again, will be Saturday at the Church Without Walls, Queensbury. Is it Queenston? I'm sorry, Queensbury City Center, Queenston location for the Church Without Walls, if I'm not mistaken. So now that I've given all of that, let's talk about what's next for the 18th Congressional District. So the governor has a lot of options. And I know many of us hope he will announce a special election, and that we are hoping that it will be similar to what took place after the passing of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee last summer, where after her services, pretty much, he announced that there will be a special election. Many of us are hoping that that is the same case here. Like, I'm expecting, if he's going to announce a special election, if I were a betting woman, I would say he will probably make that announcement no earlier than Friday of this week and no later than Tuesday of next week. So between the 14th and the 18th of next week, I would expect that if he's going to announce a special election, that's when he will do so. Now, he could also just let the seat stay open. And there are some who believe that he may even appoint someone to the seat. Okay. Some believe he may even appoint someone to the seat. So what does that mean for the voters, the constituents of Congressional District 18, right? Also, what does that mean? What's the impact of all of this on Congress? Well, when you look at the House of Representatives, there is not a huge gap between the party divide. In fact, when you look at the Republican and the Democrats' numbers in Congress, that's why these vacant seats that are up for election here around the country, I think there's 3 of them. That's why they're so hotly contested. That's why you be getting all those text messages and surveys, and you're seeing so much about those, is because people are looking at the power shift and power dynamics of the House of Representatives. However, Governor Abbott has the power, right? He has the power to basically give Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, an assist. So think Think of your favorite point guard, or maybe not your favorite point guard, but just think of a point guard or somebody passing an assist. He has the potential to pass Mike Johnson a hell of an assist by leaving that seat vacant for a while, because that would help the majority in the House of Representatives right now. That would help Speaker of the House Johnson with votes in the House of Representatives. And many people are not thinking about that aspect of it. Okay. So I'm going to put a pin in that. Let's talk about who can run for the seat. Okay. Because we are not in a race that has a pending election where the party seats have already been defined. So since we're not waiting on a general election, right? The general election for this seat would not be until November of 2026. The primary for this seat, the next primary for this seat, is not until March 2026. That means this vacated seat is up for grabs. That means once an election is announced, or even prior to it being announced, because there's a text message going around the city of Houston right now. And I'm going to talk about that without naming names, because I'm not promoting anybody, because I've made it very clear I don't want to hear about any. If you announce you are running for office, I'm going to tell you up. If you announce before this man's services. And so there is one person, but I'm going to wait to lay into him. I'm not going to do it tonight. Nevertheless, because there is a vacancy, anyone in the state of Texas who is qualified based on the U.S. Constitution, Article 1 qualifications for the House of Representatives, can run for office. So being a U.S. citizen, being a resident of Texas, being age 25 or older, you can run for this office, basically. And so there may be someone who lives hundreds of miles away who may run. There may be someone who doesn't live in Congressional District 18, not in Harris County, not in Houston metropolitan area, that may run. There may be some people whose names you've heard before that do live in Houston, but don't live in Congressional District 18 who run, or who live in Harris County or just the metro area who decide to run for CD 18. And that would all be proper. Okay. It may hurt your feelings, but legally it would be proper. There will be some people who are already elected officials, or who have been elected officials, current or past, who may announce that they will run for this seat. Okay. But it all depends on what Governor Abbott decides to do. Again, Governor Abbott could appoint someone, or Governor Abbott could announce a special election. All right. So those are things that we need to take into account. So let's say he does appoint someone. What does that look like? What if Governor Abbott appoints someone? That person would be appointed from the day that, they take the oath of office, after he appoints them, until the end of 2026. Okay. That person, so all of this year, that remains, the remainder of 2025 and all of 2026, whoever is appointed or whoever is elected, if there is a special election, their term would be from the date that they're appointed or elected until December 31st, 2026. Now, between now and December 31st of 2026, next March, we will have what we call a primary election. In Texas, we have primary elections that are open. because when we register to vote in Texas, you're not required to declare party. What happens is when you go to vote on election day during a primary, you must determine, do you want to vote on the Republican ballot or on the Democratic ballot? You have to determine that at the polls during the primary. So there are usually two lines, and you decide which one you're going to participate in, whether it's going to be the GOP ballot or the Dem ballot. Okay. And so, again, whether it's an appointee or someone elected through the special election, their term will be from the time they get in office until December 31st, 2026. But during March of 2026, there will be a primary. The primary, whoever wins the Republican ticket or the Democratic ticket, the two winners of those two tickets next March. So a year from now, literally a year from last Tuesday, they will appear on the general election ballots in November of 2026. And they will be running for the 120th Congress. We're in the 119th, right, presently. So they will be running for the 120th Congress, and they will take office in January 2027. Now, I just said a whole lot. Thank you to those who are helping the algorithm on TikTok. I really appreciate you. And thank you to everyone who is streaming on Facebook and on YouTube. Okay. So we have a question in the chat on YouTube. Will Greg Abbott be appointing someone to his seat, or will there be a special election? We don't know. I do believe that we will find out one way or the other. He will make an announcement. I'm predicting between Friday the 14th and next Tuesday the 18th that we will hear from the governor's office formally. They said that last week that at a later time an announcement would be made. Legally, he can do either one. And thank you for that question. Let me grab another device to see if there are any questions. There are no questions coming from Facebook yet. But Facebook, please engage. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask them. We will add them to the screen. Nikki, thank you for your question. And if you have another one, we'll be more than happy to ask it. Let's see if we have any questions on TikTok. No questions on TikTok as of yet. Thank you for everyone who is viewing and who's donating hearts on TikTok. Please go ahead, like, share, and follow. Follow on TikTok, follow on YouTube, and on Facebook. Facebook, we're currently still under Pretty Petty Politics. Of course, our YouTube is Pretty Petty Politics. This show, which is a part of Pretty Petty Politics, is called The Kitchen Cabinet. Thus the background, The Kitchen Cabinet, where I mix up my love for food, culture, and politics in the kitchen. You know, in the Black community, everything happens in the kitchen. Love, debates, all of those good things happen in the kitchen. So that's why this is the scene set for this episode of The Kitchen Cabinet, produced by Pretty Petty Politics. So thank you for joining us. Once again, we're discussing Congressional District 18, which was recently vacated due to the unexpected, very devastating, sudden death of our beloved Congressman and former Mayor Sylvester Turner, who represented Houstonians, not just in Congressional District 18, although that was his job to represent us, but he represented all Houstonians. This man loved Houston. He loved Houston, like hugely. I don't think there are enough words to describe it, so I'll just leave it at that. He just loved Houston. All right, so no other questions. I was hoping our guests would join us, but I know this was a sudden show, so we just will move forward. All righty. All right, so on the bottom of your screen, I'm going to share this again about Mayor Turner's homegoing, celebration, and memorials this week. Starting on Tuesday at 9 a.m. until 7 p.m., Mayor Turner or Congressman Turner will lie in state at the City of Houston City Hall um, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Tuesday. On Thursday, he will lie in state at the Texas Capitol Rotunda from noon Thursday until noon on Friday. And then his celebration of life, his funeral will be held on Saturday at the Church Without Walls from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. on Saturday. If you're not in the Houston area, you're not able to attend the funeral, or you are in the Houston area, you can always stream. You can watch the live stream of the funeral. The church will have a live stream, as well as local media will be streaming that funeral. You can expect it to be a really big deal because Mayor Turner was certainly a really big deal and meant so much to so many people. All right. See, we have another question. Let's get that. Oh, we have someone from St. Petersburg, Florida. Thank you for sending your condolences to the city of Houston. I know those prayers and those thoughts and well wishes are being felt from across the country. We saw video footage of his casket draped with the United States flag being loaded onto a United Airlines flight. And as the plane was preparing for takeoff, you'd see the fire truck spraying it there in the DC area. And that very touching moment was the start of the homegoing, in my opinion. So this is a lot for a lot of us to just take in and to experience. But thank you so much for your thoughtfulness and your comments, sending that love and those condolences from St. Petersburg, Florida. All right, so Texas Congressional District 18, things that you can do to prepare. Check and make sure that you are registered to vote, that your address on your registration and your name on your registration match your identification. Let's make sure that we're registered to vote in the right area. Make sure you know what is your nearest voting location. Make sure you know where your nearest voting location is. And then make sure that you're following us, because we will announce immediately once the governor makes his decision and publishes it, meaning makes it public, knowing whether or not this will be an appointment or will this be a special election. All right. If it is a special election, I do expect for the election to probably be in May of this year. So in about 2 months, and that will be either a Tuesday or a Saturday election in about 2 months, putting that election in May. We're here in March already. Time changed today. So that means, we're going to see spring real quick, and then it's going to be summer. Whether it's summer or not, it's going to feel like it. Time sprung forward today, and then spring starts next week. Next Thursday is the first day of spring, as well as there's going to be a total eclipse as well next Thursday on the 20th. That's just a sidebar. But nevertheless, May will be that special election, and that could be on a Tuesday or a Saturday, if that is the way the governor decides to go. The governor does not have to grant a special election, and to keep it a buck, politically, it does not hurt him if he doesn't keep it or make it a special election. It does not hurt him if he appoints someone. I have a question from TikTok. If all of your documents are under your married name, but birth certificate isn't, will it hurt your vote? No. I do know there has been some proposals in some states to make those changes, but you need to check with your home state. But in general, the answer to that question is no. There are no laws on the books currently that would restrict you from voting based on that. Okay. And if those laws are passed in a state legislation, you can bet no faster than before the ink dries on that legislation will lawyers not have already filed lawsuits in federal court to contest the constitutionality of such a law. You're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So again, Governor Abbott has options. He can play the political game and be super petty. That's why this platform is called Pretty Petty Politics, because sometimes politics can be pretty and sometimes they can be petty. And the sooner we realize that, the better, we'll know how to navigate this thing. But so many people forget that part, or they just want people to be better. And I know we expect more, but sometimes people are playing politics. And politics, again, can be pretty or they can be petty. So, yes, he has the option of appointing someone. That someone may be a Democrat, that someone may be a Republican. That person could be ultra conservative. That person may not live in the congressional 18th district. In fact, they don't have to live in the congressional 18th district in order to run for the 18th district, if there is even a special election. So there are many things that are up in the air. How will it benefit the governor if he appoints someone? That gives him some political curry. That gives him some favor on the political scene. If he does this, this assist, so to speak, if he passed that assist over to Speaker Mike Johnson to help the Republican Party in the House of Representatives. I will say this. If the shoe was on the other foot, a Democratic governor could do the same thing. So let's not just act as though this is just something that this mean Republican governor will do. Like, it would be political. It would be a power move if it were a Democrat who, and the seat were a generally Republican seat. If a Democratic governor decided to throw an assist and throw one to his party or her party. So let's just keep that in mind. Politics is about moving the needle in a direction that should favor the people, but oftentimes favors power. Okay. And I hope that makes sense to you. Are there any more questions? I don't want to belabor this. Plus, I got another glass of water to finish before I go to bed. And I do need to go to bed here shortly. All right. Any other questions? If not, I'm looking at TikTok. I'm looking at Facebook and YouTube. Doesn't look like we have any other questions. So on behalf of all of us throughout the Houston area and just our community here, I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight. I want to thank you for subscribing. Our subscribership has just flourished this last month, and I do appreciate that. If you're not subscribed to our YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube, Pretty Petty Politics. Weekly, I'm teaching on here once a week, about an hour and a half to 2.5 hours about the U.S. Constitution. Currently, we are focused on the Reconstruction era. So you can catch those videos on YouTube. We stream live, typically Thursdays or Fridays. This week, it looks like it's going to be Friday based on my schedule so far. And today's just Sunday. It looks like that will be on Friday morning. Generally, we stream at 10:20 a.m. Central Standard Time. I open up the live, and at 10:30 we go live. So that's 11:30 East Coast time that we go live. 9:30. 8:30, excuse me. It's 11:30. So what's that? 10, 9. Yeah, 9:30. No, 8:30 Pacific time. I'm trying to get it right, these hours. But anyway, 10:30 is Central Time. That's my time. So 10:30 in Houston is when we go live on TikTok and on YouTube. Teaching. That's when we have our classroom. It's very interactive. And so I do invite you to join us. But again, make sure you're subscribed here to Pretty Petty Politics on YouTube. Thank you to everyone joining us on TikTok tonight. I hope this was informative to you. Please, if you don't live in the state of Texas, take some time out to look at the powers of your governor in your respective state to see what would happen if there is a vacancy in Congress. What powers does your governor, what options does your governor have to fill that vacancy if there is a vacancy in Congress? Okay. So again, this is Pretty Petty Politics. And this show is The Kitchen Cabinet. We're so delighted that you joined The Kitchen Cabinet tonight here on Pretty Petty Politics. And we look forward to having you join us again. Also on Pretty Petty Politics, once a week, there is a classroom setting on here where currently we're learning about the Reconstruction Amendments in that era as we continue to study the U.S. Constitution. So there you have it, guys. It's been my pleasure to shoot with you live tonight. Again, please make plans to pay your respects to Congressman Sylvester Turner, our mayor, our forever mayor, Sylvester Turner, Mayor Turner, will lie in state on Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is Tuesday, the 11th of March. And then on the 13th of March, so the 13th and the 14th of March, from noon on the 13th to noon on the 14th, he will lie in state at the Texas Capitol Rotunda. And then his homegoing or funeral service will be on Saturday at the Church Without Walls, Houston, the Queenston location, from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. And that will be live streamed. Okay. So hopefully you'll be able to pay your final respects to Mayor Turner. And I will say this, you don't have to just pay your final respects by attending any of these services, whether in person or online. You could pay your final respects by voting vigorously and being an advocate for the least of us, because that's what Mayor Turner would want from you the most, for you to be a voice for others and to make sure that you protect the right to vote. All right. Have a good night. Peace out.